Hello everybody, my name is Stefan Wess, I'm the CEO of Empolis and my field of expertise is artificial intelligence. Machine learning and artificial intelligence are real. They are not science fiction. They are already in your pocket, right on your smartphone. In my talk, I will show that artificial intelligence has contributed to some of the biggest inventions in computer science. It is part of our daily lives and it will definitely shape the society in the future. As seen in all previous industrial revolutions, it finally all comes down to human creativity, who has proven in the past that's able to handle all kinds of situations. Hi everybody, good morning. I'm very proud being here talking about my favorite topic, which is artificial intelligence. So, can we start with the slides? The topic I would like to talk about in the next hour is, as said, artificial intelligence. And the question is this a childhood dream or maybe even an adult nightmare? So, artificial intelligence is already part of our pop culture. I'm sure everybody has seen movies like Star Wars or Star Trek. But artificial intelligence is also part of our cultural history. Nearly every human civilization has really envisioned artificial beings in the time. So what I would like to do today, to give you a little journey from the past, where I think AI technology was even successful, to today, where it's part of all of our daily lives, and to the future, where I'm sure it will shape our societies. And this is also a very personal journey, because it's the journey of my professional career. And see, we start with episode 1, which is the past, and which is called Childhood Dream. How did I get involved with that field? I started programming in the 80s, and the first thing I did, of course, I started programming computer games, like maybe Defender, as you've seen on the screen. Over the time, it got a little bit bored, and I needed a bigger challenge. And I had a dream. And the dream was to create a computer program who was able to play Monopoly and who was able to beat me. Honestly, and I can say this today, it was a complete disaster. I didn't manage really to do that. And what I learned and what I knew of today, that kind of task was beyond my programming skill, and it was beyond any existing technology at that point in time. What I also didn't know, that exactly 60 years from as of today, the field of artificial intelligence was founded by the Dartmouth Conference, which was organized by Marvin Minsky and John McCarthy. And they also had some very nice childhood dreams. In 1958, Alan Newell promised that within 10 years, a digital computer will be the world chess champion. In 1965, H.A. Simon said that machines will be capable within 20 years of doing any work a man can do. And last but not least, in 1970, Marvin Minsky said, in 3 to 8 years, we will have a machine with the general intelligence of an average human being. All have been wrong. So it took more than 40 years to fulfill the first promise. And in 1997, the first computer was able to beat a human chess champion under the tournament condition, which was the famous match between Deep Blue and Garry Kasparov. But also honestly, that computer was not intelligent or smart. So chess seems to be complex, but there are not that many possibilities. So if you just calculate all the possibilities, brute force, you will be able to beat a human. So, not really artificial intelligence, just brute force. But beside that, a lot of innovations on computer science have been contributed by artificial intelligence. Maybe not many of you might know that, for example, object-oriented programming has its origins in artificial intelligence, as well as business rules, or also the navigation systems we use in our cars. So, and then, nothing. About 15 years, nothing happens. And I was asking, is my dream still alive? Is there something like artificial intelligence? So where we are today. And then, really suddenly it happened out of the nothing in 2011, live on TV. Okay, but have a look on yourself.
I remember that morning going to the lab, and I was thinking, this is it. This is the last Jeopardy game.
This is Jeopardy, the IBM Challenge.
Here we go. Watson.
What is shoe?
You are right.
We actually took the lead. We were ahead of them, but then we started getting some questions wrong.
Watson.
What is leg?
No, I'm sorry, I can't accept that.
What is 1920s?
No.
What is chic?
No, sorry. Brad.
What is class?
Class, you got it. Watson.
What is Sauron?
Sauron is right, and that puts you into a tie for the lead with Brad.
I would have thought that technology like this was years away, but it's here now. I have the bruised ego to prove it.
My past Jeopardy experiences have been great, but they weren't really weighty with this kind of technological, philosophical importance. I think we saw something important today.
Didn't really think very much about the implications until later and say, wow, wait a second, this is history.
Of course, this whole project is not ultimately about playing Jeopardy. It's about doing research and deep analytics and a natural language understanding. This is about taking the technology and applying it to solve problems people really care about. We're just so excited about all the things we can do with this.
I had thought this is the end. We get there, we're done. And I'm realizing it's just the beginning.
And he was absolutely right, because this was just the beginning. Because in 2012, we saw something really great. We had some big breakthroughs in image classification. What is image classification? You give a computer a picture, and he says what's the object inside the picture. So, for example, a container ship, a mushroom, an elephant, on flower. And before 2012, and you can see that on the black line, so if this is the performance, how good the computer is, and the red line is the human performance, you saw that there was just a straight line, so not big improvements in the technology. And then suddenly something happened, which was called deep learning, and I go into that later on, and to say that big leap forward. So, and as of today, computers are better than humans. They are superhuman. How's that? That kind of technology is already in your pocket. If you use the last version of the iOS or Android, you have that kind of technology on your smartphone in your pocket. You can, for example, ask for cars. I show that to you. Hey Siri, show me nice pictures of cars. You can't see it, but these are pictures I personally took, cars. And of course, I didn't tell the computer that these are cars. So you can try it on your own. Talking about the personal assistants. Up. Again, stuck. It's always that slide. Going back. So talking about personal assistants, of course, there's not only Siri, there's also Cortana from Microsoft or Google Now or brand new Alexa from Amazon. And all these kind of technologies have one in common. There's a kind of basic technology which is called deep learning, which I was referring before. And the technology is inspired by the human brain. On the right side of the slide, you see an image of a neuron, a schematic image, and you can translate that into a kind of mathematics. So the basic idea is old. It was created in 1946. To explain how this works, again, just the little video.
This is a simulation of a single biological neuron. Information flows in, is processed by the neuron, and the results flow out. This gives the neuron its abilities to react based on previously learned patterns. Technology duplicates this by creating a structure that processes information like a biological neuron does, except this process is mathematical instead. Just like the biological neuron, information flows in, is processed by the artificial neuron, and the results flow out. This single process becomes a mathematical formula that can be used for simple problems. For those that are mathematically inclined, this will look similar to a polynomial. A polynomial is limited to the problems it can solve for, as shown in this graph of an order 5 polynomial. If this is all artificial intelligence could do, it wouldn't be much use. As with the brain, artificial neural networks' power is in connecting sets of neurons together in layers. When you connect them in layers, the mathematical formula becomes something like a multi-dimensional polynomial. This allows complex problems, like what is shown in this graph, to be discovered and used for our benefit. As before, information flows in and results flow out, but this time the input to the second layer is from the output of the first layer. The exact steps for a single layer are simply repeated for each layer of the neural network.
Okay, in real applications, of course, we have a lot of these layers and millions of these neurons which have to be simulated. So, as with humans, education and training is expensive and it costs time. A few years ago, some guys had the idea to use the specialized graphic chips which are inside the computer to give high performance to computer games, to use these specialized chips and use them for training. And this year, NVIDIA has brought out a new special computer which is called DJX1, which is just a high-performance computer for training these networks. And to give you some numbers, if you have 1.3 million images, then you would run the training on a high-performance computer like your own you have at home. It would take about 1 week to train. With that kind of hardware, you can do the same training in just of 2 hours. And also, like in education, it's not only that you have the time to do the training, you also need the training examples. So when we started the first experiments with that kind of technologies in the 90s, we have been very proud about having 100 images. Our dream was to have 1,000 images, but we never got to that point. As of today, in the area of big data, you can have millions and hundreds of millions of these training data to feed into these networks and get trained and get better over time. So, what is about my childhood dream? Of course, for $1, you can buy an app for a smartphone who plays Monopoly and has a good chance in beating you as a human player. And also something happened to Space Invaders I would like to show to you.
This is Space Invaders, the most iconic game probably on Atari. And this first minute, this is before the first time the AI has ever seen this data stream. So don't forget, it doesn't know what it's playing, it doesn't know what it's controlling, and you can see it's actually losing its 3 lives. It's controlling the rocket here at the bottom of the screen, and it's losing its 3 lives immediately because it doesn't know what it's doing. But after you leave it playing overnight on a single GPU machine, you come back the next day, and now it's superhuman at the game. It's learned for itself through experience how to play. So you can see now every single shot it fires hits something. It can't be killed anymore. It's worked out that the pink mothership that comes across the top of the screen in a second is worth the most number of points. And it does these amazingly accurate shots to do that. And you can, if those of you remember Space Invaders, as there's less of them on the screen, they go faster. And just watch the last shot that it does, the rocket does. There's this predictive shot to hit the last Space Invader.
Isn't that cool? Amazing. So, what is about the future? What is about the future of artificial intelligence? And I think AI will definitely shape our society. And if you look what's going on, nearly every large company in the Silicon Valley bets on that technology, starting with IBM, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Nvidia, Netflix, Amazon. So, and what I would like to do next is to show you a short introduction from the Nvidia Tech Conference. They showed the video, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago in the Netherlands.
It all begins from a single origin, a unique point in space and time. This is the spark of innovation that fuels your most amazing breakthroughs. It's a passion for discovery that unveiled the genesis of all that exists in the universe. Today, the power of AI helps computers achieve superhuman capabilities in image recognition and lets scientists save our most precious resources by analyzing in 1 month what used to take 10 years.
是谁发明了机械计算机？
Everyday devices translate even the most complex languages from voice into text and images into words.
Xavier is now present,
helping the visually impaired recognize an old friend, or letting a blind woman read to her child for the first time. Autonomous vehicles give us the freedom to reimagine our city streets and travel where there are no streets at all to help the lost find their way home. We see robots teach themselves to perform simple tasks. We even watch in awe as they take their first steps. And today, a 2,500-year-old game meets its match as a computer competes with one of the greatest human champions of all time and wins. This is the collective imagination, fueled by forward-looking technologies and the beginning of your most amazing discoveries yet to come.
So you probably all heard about the self-driving cars, so which will definitely shape our cities in the future. Imagine that you can get a car by snipping your finger and there's no need for fuel stations or parking lots. And this will not stop with the cars, of course. So there might be self-driving ships, trucks, and even farming tractors. So just in front of my office, there's the Innovation Center of John Deere, and I see all these farming tractors running whole day, and there's no driver on the tractor anymore. So partially, it's the same as I've shown you before. Here you see a street scene in Germany, and this is not just image processing, it is image recognition. So it does see a vehicle, a tree, a road, the road marking, the sky, or a pedestrian. So also that technology is used in kind of classifying these kind of camera views in real time. So as I did before with the car, so it does it 25 times in a second. But imagine if you not just use that to train the car to see other people or other vehicles, but to learn driving itself. So, but not only self-driving cars. So there is a lot of things to do in something like healthcare. So there are millions of patients' records out there, millions of journals of information. Imagine having a doctor, a tool who can read that kind of information very fast and provide maybe new treatments here for cancer. If you use artificial intelligence, there might be new scientific discoveries in the future and a lot of things to really to find out what humans have not been able up to now to do. So where are we here with that technology? In 2016, we are a little bit smarter than a bee if we combine the number of neurons. And of course, we need to be smarter than a bee, because have you ever asked a bee, show me some pictures of nice cars, and you got an answer from the bee? No, of course not. So in 2022, we will be at the mouse level, in 2026 at the cat level, and the prediction is in the number of neurons that in 2029 we will be at the level of the human brain. So just to see this is exponential growth, just if the technology moves forward as it did in the past. So what does this mean? What if we use that kind of technology and create something like a real artificial intelligence, which is smarter than we are? And the argument about this is very simple. If it grows exponentially, then there might be one point in time where the machine will be able to use its cleverness to improve itself. And then it's the question, in nearly no time, it will be much smarter than we are and getting faster and smarter and smarter and smarter. And then the question is how to control it. What really to do about it? Because in the time of cloud computing, there might not be a kill switch, so you might not be able really to turn it off. And there was a big discussion about that topic in 2014, which was created by a tweet from Elon Musk, who said, hey, I read that book from Nick Bostrom, which is called Superintelligence. If you have the chance really to do so, read it. And he said that kind of technology might be more dangerous than nuclear weapons. And also Stephen Hawking, this famous researcher, said we need to be careful about that technology, and the same with Bill Gates. So in my view, it finally comes down to some kind of machine ethic. And this is not really just a theoretic question. If we go back to the self-driving cars, and there's a project on MIT which is called Moral Machine, which is ongoing. Imagine a situation that you have a braking failure, and what should the car do? So should it go straight and maybe kill a mother and 2 children, or turn to the other side and kill a man and 2 elderly women? So what would you do? What would be your choice in that kind of situation? Very, very difficult really to state. So in my view, we need we think about how do machines act in these kind of situations. And the research has just really started about that. Okay. Coming to the last part of my presentation, which is called the fourth industrial revolution. We are all aware of robots. So robots are part of the production facilities, But nowadays, robots not only work in industry, they are already in our homes. They are cleaning the floor. They are in the hospital. So what means that kind of revolution? And again, I have a short video from the World Economic Forum of 2016 in Davos. They're dealing with that topic. Exit to a new reality. Yeah, the central question is, what does this mean to our societies? Because if you look at the economic figures, they are quite hard. So if you use a robot, you can save up to 90% of costs compared to the workers in development countries, or 65% compared to the costs of the workers in developing economies, according to Deloitte. So, will smart machines steal our jobs? And honestly, I think the answer is yes. There has been a famous paper from Fry and Osborne in 2013, which was the start of these kind of investigations, where he made up a probability how probable it is that the specific job might get replaced by a computer, and can't read it here, but there's a whole list of jobs, and this is not only blue-collar jobs, this is also white-collar jobs. The same was stated by a book from Erik Bjørn-Jolfsen and Andrew McAfee, which is called Race Against the Machine, or the second edition, which was called Second Machine Age, and they all come to the conclusion that about 40 to 60% of the white-collar jobs can be replaced by smart machines. And that means that jobs like engineers, like doctors, like lawyers might be replaced by computers. And all this goes back to the Zuboff's law, which was formulated and published back in 1988, and she said everything what can be automated will finally get automated. So in medicine, in law, in finance, retailing, manufacturing, and even in scientific discovery is the key to winning the race is not to compete against the machine, but to compete with the machine, which means use the computer to compete better than human can do alone. So, back again, same slide as before. Up. If you look into Asia, and then specifically into Southeast Asia, so China invests a lot into AI and into robotics. If you compare the filed patents on robotics last year, so the number of patents filed in China is more than the sum of the next two, which is Japan and the United States. There is a lot of artificial intelligence research going on in China. Over there you see Melody, which is a kind of medical assistant available at the smartphone. And also very amazing is that the founder of the Google Brain and somehow also the father of these kind of deep learning algorithm has moved to Baidu and become chief scientist over there. So there is some activity in China. As well, in Southeast Asia, I'm personally aware of some activities in Singapore and in Malaysia. So Nevasus is a company who builds kind of intelligent bots. And also in Thailand. So AI is part of the ICT 2020 initiative. And there's also a very nice paper I had the chance to read about, which is called The History of AI Research and Development in Thailand, 3 periods and 3 directions. If you have the time, look into that. It's really good. So what will be the employment effects of bringing that kind of technology into work? And I was surprised when I saw these numbers, because these are the numbers for Southeast Asia. They are from a published study from the World Economic Forum of 2016. And the numbers in Southeast Asia, they differ from the numbers, for example, in Germany. So there will be a little bit kind of dip in the job market, which is about 1.5%, going back to advanced manufacturing and 3D printing, also to artificial intelligence. But that kind of dip is overcompensated by other factors who play a role here in Southeast Asia, like, of course, the young demographics, and it's also expected that development like the Internet of Things and robotics and autonomous transport will create more jobs here than they might destroy by applying that technology. So good news for job market in Southeast Asia, but will that last forever, and will that be a kind of global trend? I think definitely not. So the central question of 2025 is, what are people for in a world that does not need their labor? And just the minority of the people is needed to guide that kind of bot-based economy. What will be future jobs for humans? And the good news, and I think standing in the stage, on the stage of Thailand Creativity and Design Center is the right place to shout out that message, that there are studies out there that say that that kind of creative jobs will be jobs of the future. So we might become artists or musicians. Handmade might become more valuable if you get everything by a click of a finger. It might be interesting to wait 4 weeks until a painting is finally created. And also jobs, as I said, if you replace the doctors, the lawyers, and the high-valued people in the social image, there might be a chance that jobs who currently have a kind of low social images, like nurses, teachers, and other jobs, might get an increase in image. So are there any future jobs for humans? And if you look back to all of the last industrial revolutions, every industrial revolution has destroyed jobs on the one hand, but the creativity of the humans has created another new jobs. So it might be that in the digital age that, let's say analog might be the new digital. So, talking about creativity, I said it might be the last jobs for humans, but I got surprised by some research during the last year, and it's called Deep Dream. And the idea, and it was done by Google, the idea is really simple. If you have an algorithm who's able to analyze pictures, you can just turn it around and run backwards, and maybe this algorithm is able to create pictures. And these are pictures created by the machine. And I think Kyle will elaborate later in his next talk on that one. But it's not only images. The computers are able to create music. So there's a website out there which is called Deep Music, and where computers are creating jazz, for example. The Google AI has written an own book. He has read a lot of stories and just composed a new book out of all the experiences he read in other books. Also, the creation of new movies is possible, and a lot of the photo filters you can download for your smartphones in these days are based exactly on that kind of technology. So, what do others think about the development of AI? There was, as I said, there have been some discussions about superintelligence, and in 2015 there was an open letter which was composed by leading researchers and scientists and entrepreneurs. So it was signed, including by people like Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Stephen Hawking, or Elon Musk. And I'm sorry that there's so much text, but in an open letter there are no pictures. So I'd like to use really some of these statements, and you can download also that letter from the internet. So there's now a broad consensus that AI research is progressing steadily, and that its impact on society is likely to increase. And many economists and computer scientists agree that there's valuable research to be done on how to maximize the economic benefits of AI by mitigating adverse effects, which could include increased inequality and unemployment. But the potential benefits are huge. And since everything that civilization has to offer is a product of human intelligence, we cannot predict what we might achieve when this intelligence is magnified by the tools AI might provide. But maybe we can remove poverty and diseases from Earth by using that kind of technology. So, also, what is the government view? And a few days ago, the White House had issued a report which is preparing for the future of artificial intelligence. And you can also download that report if you just go to whitehouse.gov. And they had about 25 recommendations for the government how to deal with AI. And recommendation one is to examine how to leverage AI in ways that benefit society, or government should monitor the state of AI in other countries. The industry and the government should really have information exchange about that technology. And recommendation 15, which is about the job market, so we should investigate and report the effects of AI on the job market and maybe change the laws and the policy about it. It should include ethics, privacy and safety as part of their teaching of AI technology. And last but not least, the US government should cooperate internationally on that kind of technology. So, going back to the question, is AI a childhood dream, or might it become an adult nightmare? So I'm in that field for more than 20 years, and I can say in the last year did more happen and more progress as in the 19 years before. So, but I'm always shifting between the opportunities of a new technology, and this is always that, and also the risks of applying a new technology. And finally, I think it's our decision where we really want to go and where we really want to stay. But as of today, I'm more on the dream side, because if I see that machines are able to find out treatments for cancer which have not been able to do by humans, then I think this is a very good news. So some food for thought. If the robots displace all the workers, who will be finally able to buy these goods? Should robots pay taxes? I think so, they should. And will you then get money for free? I hope so. So who owns that artificial intelligence? Will there be more than one artificial intelligence? Probably. Will there be a Chinese artificial intelligence and the US artificial intelligence? Will they fight each other? I hope not. How to control that kind of systems if they get smarter? There will be no kill switch. We can't turn it off. So it comes down finally to the question of ethics. How, when machines are able really to act more smartly than they do now, and it starts with the self-driving cars, what kind of ethics really should we apply to these kind of machines? And this is a little bit scary, because if you think how humans treat animals, hopefully the machines does not treat us like we do with animals. So I think the question of ethics in these kind of technology is really important. And the good news is that a lot of people have recognized that. So there is a clear statement, for example, from Google and from others, really industries who apply that is the central question. And Elon Musk had spent, I think, $1 billion or so? No, not that much. But they collected a lot of money to create an institute to provide all the algorithms for free and to concentrate on these questions. Because the final questions, like with all technological revolutions, and I think we have no idea where this technology is going, where are the limits. I think as of today, no one really knows, really does it end? What we are able really to do is that, because every day there are new ideas, new creativity, new applications of that maybe in 12 months I say, okay, here's the end. Here's the limit. But as of today, I think it's impossible to state. So the question is, how do we leverage that kind of technology finally to create a better world? There are so many problems out there one human alone is not able to solve. Even a group of humans is not able to solve because it's so complex. If we have an enhancement on our brain, which reads all the papers, all the scientific progress, and helps us to understand and to solve that problems, that might really a big breakthrough. And finally, what is the right strategy for Thailand? And that's a question I need really to give back to the audience. You really need to think about it, because if you ask me what is the right strategy for Germany, I don't know. And Thailand is different than Germany. So I hope I gave you some insights on the history of artificial intelligence. So it's quite old, it's about 60 years. It had some progress, but it was not the big breakthrough. As of today, it is part already in our pocket. It's part of our daily lives. Hey Siri, show me some pictures of some nice beaches in Thailand. Next thing I will do. It is here. It will not go away. And for the future, the question is, what are the limits of that technology? And how does it shape our society? Even if the robots do not become self-aware, they are much cheaper than we are. So, and finally, and as I said, it's a good message standing here on stage at the Thailand Creativity and Design Center. If you look back from the development of fire thousands of years ago to the development of these smart machines and everything I've shown you today, creativity is the driving force behind that. And whatever happens in the future, I'm sure that creativity will stay. So you are absolutely right, guys, here. So I would like to thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts and to talk about artificial intelligence. And I hope you have some food for thought. And just go on the internet and Google, and you will find a lot of material I've shown you here. And as said before, the next speaker, Kyle, will show some practical examples about what I told you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stefan Wess. And now, the time that you all be waiting for, Q&A. So we're going to start the old-fashioned way. ตอนนี้ก็เป็นถึงช่วงถามคำถามนะคะ จะเริ่มแบบดั้งเดิมนะคะ ใครมีคำถามยกมือได้ค่ะ
Good morning. It was an excellent talk. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask a question. What is your opinion about the Chinese room argument? And will AI ever approach sentience, or will we be able to achieve strong AI? Thank you.
So, also to be very clear about it, the technology we have now here is not really like we are. It is for specific tasks, it is smarter and better than humans, but it's not intelligent. So it can classify pictures better than we are. It can play Go better than humans. It can maybe drive cars better than we are, but it's not an intelligence. As I said before, I have no idea where this technology might go. Really, where will be the limit? So there are a lot of tasks we think which are complex, which in reality might become easy for a computer. But there are a lot of tasks we think is simple, which are really complex for a computer. So if you ask for, will there be something like a full, true, strong AI? Honestly, I can't answer that. If you look at the numbers, and if the number of neurons really evolves over the time, you will have the possibility in 229 to have the same power in the computer like in our brain. But what will happen then, I'm not in the camp of saying that or other. I think we will need to find out. I'm not sure if we really get there, but get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter, and even that will change a lot.
Thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering if you think that capitalism has a role in the future after scarcity and AI takes all the jobs.
Now it gets interesting, because if technology meets society, then a lot of interesting questions get posed. And I'm really excited about that question because you are not the first one to ask about it. So, because what does it mean if the robots pay the taxes and they work for us and humans really get the money for free? What does this mean for society? How does this change? What is about democratic? What is about capitalism? What are the consequences of all these things ongoing? And honestly, there are smarter people than I am who have difficulties to ask that question. But these kind of discussions are ongoing, and they are really exciting. And what really excites me is that even in Silicon Valley, which is somehow the heart of capitalism, somehow these kind of discussions are ongoing. And I'm not able really to answer that, but I have some imagination. If we all get money for free and we're making music and making things, of course it will change the economy, of course it will change the society, and of course it will change a lot of things. Hopefully to the better. At least there is the opportunity that it might go into that direction. But to answer that is clearly beyond my area of expertise. I'm coming from the technology, but I like when technology meets society. And there's also something bad about that. I don't know how is that in Thailand, but in Germany, all these society sciences are cut off. So everybody moves onto technology, study computer science and chemistry and mathematics. But I think now we would really need these social sciences to answer these upcoming questions. And now we don't have them because we focus so much on technology. This is a little bit sad because that should be the time for the social sciences now to deal with all these upcoming issues and don't let the technology people like I am to answer these questions.
You know, since AI is like a strength that is, sort of becoming a really strong part of our life and our societies, do you have any prediction that AI could have any weaknesses that you could maybe give us?
Sorry, I didn't get the second part.
Any weakness for AI?
Any weakness?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Also, very, very, very good question. Also, going back to society, because as I said, AI is part of your life. And if you go to a social network, it depends on what you are seeing. If you go to a shopping site, it decides maybe what you get as a recommendation to buy. So the danger is the danger of bias, of these kind of echo chambers, so that you just really got news about what you like, just things to strong your opinion. You buy always the same stuff. So you live in a big filter bubble, which might be because AI is learning like your children. If your children really somehow do or copy what you do, if you behave not that good, they copy that. That's exactly the same. All the data you create is training data, and it creates a kind of behavior. So it will just be a stronger you. It will enforce what you are. It will not be critics. It will just self-empowering, and that is a big danger. And in Germany, we have a big discussion because we have some issues in politics. It's the question, what role really does social media play in creating these kind of issues in politics? Because the extreme positions are stronger than before, which is all this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy and filter bubble. I think that is a big, big danger. But also, I think a lot of people are aware of that. And if algorithms decide, who decide on what the algorithms decide, that is the question really to be posed. And even our Chancellor, Angela Merkel, last week asked that question, which is from a society point, I think exactly the right question to be asked really by politicians.
Maybe a little bit continuing from Kyle's perspective. So what do you think in the age of the AI, is there place for human soul? or was the soul already lost in the Enlightenment? And then the second part, or are we then becoming more like the neurons of the neural network in the future?
Okay, I think I failed bringing over my message, so because that was exactly part of the message. So, because if everything will be digital, it gets lower in value. So I think the soul is more valued than before, and creativity is more valued than before. At least that's what I believe. Really, analog might become the new digital. So I truly believe that. And we use the machines to get a better life. Because if I don't need to clean up my kitchen because a robot does that, then it is definitely better. If I don't need to stay in traffic jam in Bangkok because they are well organized and self-driving and they're moving away, they don't need any parking spaces anymore, then this is definitely better. But as said before, in all industrial revolutions, really think about the steam engines, people from the country moving into the city, a lot of problems, a lot of transformation. Of course, it will ongoing. But finally, if you look on the number on the whole planet, really our planet was never so healthy and so good as it is in 2016. It's different to believe that because we get all these worse numbers and news and so on, but in reality, if you go back to the fact, there never have been a better time for humanity than 2016. That is scientifically based. So I think, yes, of course, and I hope that and I truly believe that.